What we're going to do today, we're going to learn how to make a great pizza dough at home using basic ingredients, cheap ingredients, inexpensive ingredients, whatever you want to call them. Nothing fancy, but keeping it simple. We're here in Meriden, Connecticut, and we are in the heartland of the best pizza in the country. Now, I grew up making pizzas since I was 16 years old, working for Tony and Terry's in Meriden, Connecticut. And Tony was one of the first Meriden pizza centers in the entire city. And our pizza was made very similar to the pizza being made at Pepe's, Sally's down there in New Haven. We use the same process, the same styles. I've made a few modifications. So first we're going to do is learn how to make the dough. So the first process is always weigh your ingredients. Do not go by bulk dry measure. And the reason you weigh it is because it gives you consistent results every time you get the same product, same consistency. So we're going to first weigh the flour. All right. 24 ounces of flour, put it in our dough bowl. This is a KitchenAid dough mixer that we're using today, and you want to make sure you use the dough hook for pizza dough. This is the dough hook that goes on the mixer. So I put my flour in the bowl first, then I want to add my salt to the flour before I put in my yeast mixture. So I'm going to use 1.5 teaspoons or 2 teaspoons of salt to your taste. Don't use too much salt because it'll stunt the growth of the yeast and your dough won't rise, so don't use too much salt. So we're going to put about 1.5 teaspoons of salt. Now, I like to always mix it dry first before I add my water and yeast. Next step we're going to weigh is the water. We're going to put 16 ounces of water with yeast. We're going to use 1.5 teaspoons of dry active yeast. You don't need to add sugar. A lot of guys say you got to put sugar in there. That's not true. You do not need sugar. You just need water and yeast. All right, now we've got 16 ounces of water. We're going to let the yeast bloom. Takes about 10 minutes, and then we'll come back. All right, welcome back. Our yeast has bloomed. So basically what we want to do is we want to see little explosions on the surface of the water. This is how we made it at Tony and Terry's Pizza. It was across from McDonald's on the east side. I first started my job at McDonald's and I saw the help wanted sign on Tony and Terry's. I walked across the street. I said, hey, it's Giuseppe. I want to make it the pizza. And they said, oh, come on in, Giuseppe. Well, how much you pay? I says, I take what you give. He says, $2.05 an hour. I says, holy moly, that's 10 more cents than McDonald's, those cheap son of a bitch. Anyway, we're going to make the pizza for you today. All right, so now we're going to pour the yeast mixture with the lukewarm water into the mixer bowl that already has the salt and the flour. So what have you got? You got 4 basic ingredients, right? You got salt, flour, yeast, and water. That's it, nothing else. That's how we make it in Connecticut. That's how Giuseppe's makes it. That's how Sally's makes it. That's how Tony and Teresa made it at Tony and Terry's on East Main Street. I worked there for 5 years. So now we're going to start our mixer with the dough hook. This is going to mix for about 10 minutes. It's going to get into a sticky consistency. I like to brush the sides with my spatula to keep it from sticking to the side. Eventually it'll become one big dough ball. Okay, that's all there is to this. It's a very simple process. You can do it at home if I can do it here, because I'm in Meriden, Connecticut. I live in Texas, but I'm at my mama's house. I'm here to see my mama. She's a nice mama. And that's it. Pizza dough for everybody. 10 minutes, we'll be back. Well, the convection oven is basically a regular oven with a fan. What happens with a convection oven, it creates an air circulation that moves the air across the product, so it makes it cook faster. All right, that's the only difference, is a fan. There's a fan in the back of the oven. A wood-fired oven obviously gets a lot hotter because it's using wood as the fuel source, just like coal. But that'll get up to, a wood-fired oven get up to 1200 degrees, where an electric oven in your house or a gas oven in your house only gets up to a max of 550 degrees. But wood-fired ovens can get up to 1200 degrees. Most pizzerias, when they're running wood-fired ovens, will cook it around 700-800 degrees.
So how could you make a good pizza at home?
Well, you got to fire up your oven full speed at 550, as hot as it'll get. You got to make sure your stone's as hot as it'll get. That's the temperature we used to cook at Tony and Terry's, was 550. All right, we've come to our 10-minute mark on the dough, and now we're going to take it out of the dough mixer. I'm going to lift it up. It's going to be a little bit sticky right now. If you wet your hands, the dough won't stick to you. I always forget to do that, but if you wet your hands, you won't have the dough stick. Then I laid out some flour here. I'm going to put the dough into the flour. one mass. It's about a 40-ounce mixture. It's going to make 4 10-ounce dough balls. We'll make 4 14-inch pizzas. All right. So I got my dough on the flour. So what I do is I take it and I fold it in half, okay? Fold it in half, then I turn it again this way, fold it in half, fold it, and then you're trying to make it into a tighter dough ball, and you're trying to work the dough so it gets a little bit of strength. And if you notice, it's got a nice smooth texture now. It doesn't take a lot. It does not take long to do this. But if you notice how I'm just folding it in half, rotating it 90 degrees, folding it 90 degrees, and eventually you get a nice little dough ball like this, which is the texture we want. And we're done. Now I got to oil this up with some olive oil. We're going to set it in here for 2 hours. I like to put it in the oven with the light bulb on for 15 minutes first to warm up the oven. Then I turn the light off and let it proof for an hour and 45 more minutes. And then we'll come back in 2 hours. All right, so I got my olive oil all here. Take my dough ball I just tightened up here. Put it in the middle. Seal the container. You want a nice tight seal. And then in 2 hours, we're going to put it in the oven for 2 hours and we'll be back. Yeah, well, first we got to do some preparation before we make pizza, obviously. So I'm just crushing some garlic. Take the knife, peel the garlic, and then we're going to I'm going to slice small pieces of garlic. Nice and thin slices. And it helps spread out the flavor in the oil better. If you use big chunks, you don't want to bite into a piece of garlic. You just want the nice thin slices. It'll help distribute in the oil better, you know, the flavor of the garlic. Some people like to mince it. I like to slice it. Whatever you prefer. It's no big deal. We're going to make a fresh clam pizza. We're going to make a sausage pepperoni pizza. We're going to make a pepperoni pizza, and then we're going to make let's see, the fourth pizza. We can make just a plain cheese pizza or whatever you guys want. Or we might make 2 clam pizzas. Anyway, I'm doing the garlic for the clam pizza. The clam pizza is very basic. It's clams, olive oil, garlic, and pecorino romano cheese, and that's it. No tomato sauce, nothing. It's a very simple recipe. Best pizza you ever have. And if you like Pepe's, you'll love this.
Is this a white pizza?
No, white pizza is made with ricotta cheese. That's what's a white pizza. But it is a white pizza because there's no tomato sauce, but that's not what people refer to as a white pizza. A white pizza people refer to is the one where they use ricotta cheese, ricotta, as I've been known to call it. And if you ever cook with any cheeses on any pizza at home, don't use part skim, crappy mozzarella cheese. That stuff will burn. You want to talk about burnt pizza, that stuff browns too quickly. You want whole milk mozzarella because it has the real oils and fats of the cheese, and it's creamier, it's smoother, it's chewier, it's better cheese. So always go for whole milk products. Same with ricotta, same with mozzarella, whole milk. No other choice. All right. We're firing up our oven. We're going to cook at 550 degrees. We got our thermometer gun. Check the temperature of the stone, make sure she gets up to 550. This is a thermal gun. I'm going to point it at the stone. I want to make sure my stone is at least 550 degrees. A cold stone, you'll get a soggy pizza. You won't get a good pizza. You want to make sure your stone's hot. It reads the temperature. It reads the temperature right off like there it says I'm 93 degrees on my hand. So it's going to tell me the temperature of that stone. I want it 550 degrees at a minimum. Don't cook it at 450. Don't cook it at 475. 550. As hot as your oven will get it, you want that stone 550 or higher if you can get it. All right. So we finished making the dough, and for home purposes, we put them in baggies. I like to spray some olive oil inside the bag so the dough won't stick. This dough's been sitting out for about an hour. It's made with the 00 Neapolitan style flour, or the bread flour. But I think this is the Neapolitan style. All right. What you want to do is you don't want to stretch the dough so much as you want to flatten the dough. A lot of people, they always, they're throwing it in the air and all that good stuff. It's really not. In these type of products, which is the Connecticut style pizza, we flatten the dough. We don't stretch the dough. And there's a difference. If you watch when I do it, I fold it in half. I'll slightly stretch it this way, but I'm only doing that to get a semicircle. I'll rotate it 90 degrees, and then I'll rotate it 90 degrees. Add a little bit of flour here. We're getting a little bit of oven's ready. All right, if you'll notice, I try to stay off the outer edge. And then the last step of the dough is to put it on the peel. There's a little bit of stretching here to get it to the right size. Doesn't take long, does it? And there we've got a 14-inch pizza. I like to pop the bubbles. And that's it. Dough's ready. Then I made the sauce previously. I took diced tomatoes. I added garlic, basil, salt, oregano, and pepper, and that's it. And I used an emulsion blender, and I took the diced tomatoes and blended them to make a smoother sauce. I added a little bit of paste to thicken it because the tomatoes were kind of watery. So if it's too watery, you don't want it too watery. You only need about 4 to 5 ounces of sauce for a pizza this size. Put it in the middle, work your way out. Simple process. Now the ingredients we're using, we've got whole milk mozzarella, we've got Locatelli Romano cheese, Pecorino Romano from Italy. I love to actually buy it in the block and grate it myself, but I'm not in my regular environment. But we use the Locatelli grated Pecorino Romano. This is whole milk mozzarella. I really prefer to use the thicker, bigger pieces of whole milk mozzarella that they use in the restaurants, and I slice it on a slicer. But since we're gonna make it here and don't have the convenience of a slicer, we're gonna use the full whole milk. And I like to break it up into small pieces. A little different than the other type of mozzarella where I slice it in thin sheets and I'll lay it out. You saw my other video. But this, a lot of guys, they put too much cheese, they put too much sauce, they put too much everything. Too much is not better for pizza. Keep it simple. The KISS approach, you know, keep it simple, stupid. If you'll notice, I try to keep it symmetrical. Obviously, it makes sense. But I leave a little gap between the sauce and the cheese. You don't need to have too much. The cheese is going to melt down and it's going to all fall into place on its own. All right. So there, what kind of pizza you guys want? Sausage and pepperoni, okay?
Sausage, yeah.
All right, so here we have pepperoni. I like Hormel brand, and I usually will use a thinner stick, and then I'll slice it myself a little thicker. But since I'm here, we had to buy it pre-cut, and they slice it so thin. You said sausage?
Yes.
Well, we have two different sausages here. We have a sausage made at Ferraro's Deli in, where did we buy that? What city was that? North Haven. And then this is actually Aldi's sausage that they make in their store, but I take this the night before and add toasted fennel seeds to it because they really don't make a good Italian sausage until I add my toasted fennel seeds. So we're gonna put, well actually, let's add the pepperoni first. We're gonna make a pepperoni and sausage, is that all right? All right.
Yes.
So you wanna keep a gap between them just so that you can put the sausage in between the pepperoni. Don't put too much on here, otherwise you get a greasy pie. I like to toast the fennel. I like it toasted. And like I said, this is for people who are making pizzas at home. Aldi's sausage is good. If you add the toasted fennel to it, it actually gives it a better flavor. I'm gonna make it half this sausage and half the other. You guys can see what you like better. How's that? It's always raw. Don't cook your sausage, pre-cook it. Just make the pieces small enough where they'll cook in 6 minutes. Now, Pepe's Pizza, they'll actually take the sausage, probably chill it or freeze it, and they'll slice it into same shape as the pepperoni. I don't have the luxury of doing that because we don't have a meat slicer here, so we're just using it in just pieces like this. And this is the Ferraro's Deli. They make their own sausage down there. Picked it up on the way from Thimble Island. We went there on that tour. All right, then we top it off with pecorino romano. This is actually probably, I think, what makes the pizzas unique compared to most of them. Something so simple. That's it. Now, for those who don't know how to get a pizza off the peel, a little tip I always give is blow underneath it, put some air in it like a hockey puck, air hockey puck, and it'll slide off the peel a lot easier. That's it. Now we're going to time it for 6 minutes. All right, our pizza's about ready. I'm going to check it. Yep, it's ready. The easy way to check it, number one, is you can see that all the sauce and juices are boiling all around. Got a nice brown crust. The bottom's not burnt. And that's about all there is to it. Now we're going to cut this up. We did 2 different types of sausages. I think if I look at this correctly, I can tell where they are. This is a crunchy pie. That's it. Dinner is served. Now see which sausage you like better. The Aldi's or the Ferraro's. I'm a no manicure. I'm a pizza hand model. All right, we're gonna make the famous Pepe's clam pizza. It's a very simple pizza. Frank Pepe created it. It was his original recipe. It's very simple. Clams. But they do have a secret bed they get their clams from, blah, 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 but I think that's a bunch of malarkey. It's from Rhode Island. These little necks I had today, I shucked today fresh. Then he also uses olive oil, fresh garlic, pecorino romano, and that's it. A very simple recipe. So first we got to get our dough flattened out, like I showed you before. The key is to flatten, not stretch. See how easy that is? Isn't that easy? We'll size it to our peel. Now Pepe's, they have a lot bigger pizzas that they'll just slap it on there. It'll be at oddball shapes. We can do that too if you want, but it doesn't make any difference to me. We only have 14 inches of stone to work with in our oven. This is for you at home. Okay, so first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna put our clams on. We're gonna try and make sure we get some clam juice on there to help flavor the pizza. We're just gonna spread them out over the pie. Like I said, it's a very simple process here. It's nothing complicated. These clams are just shucked today. Ooh, a little clam juice. That's it. All right, so we got our clams on there. We're gonna have fresh garlic, which I previously chopped up earlier. Some fresh garlic. And then olive oil. And pecorino romano, we use Locatelli's. This is the clam pizza from Pepe's, and that's it. Nothing too complicated, folks. Very simple process, and that's it. All right, if you want to get the pizza off the peel, the trick I showed you, blow under it. That's it. Voila. That's nice.